So Luis Miguel, I'm super happy and excited to meet you. We are here in Madrid. You are doing an amazing thing, one of the most amazing thing I've discovered in my trip. Can you tell me a little bit about your story? Who are you?
Okay. Well, first of all, I consider myself to be kind of a seeker. I've been studying from very different fields. I think that great breakthroughs come when you cross these different fields that seem to be not related, when you cross them and put them together. I started my academic background studying architecture. I was fascinated by the combination of how that field mixes creativity and human values and with technology. I found that creating these virtual 3D models and software that could help me realize how to put the sun, how to create virtual models, I found it fascinating. And that's actually the same software that it's being used right now in 3D virtual models and creating virtual reality models. But then when I was immersed in that field, I realized exactly the power of computers. And I was so immersed with creating these tools with these 3D models, I realized, okay, maybe I need to complement that studies with computer science. And then I studied 2 years the technology, the futuristic aspects of how technology is going to change us and affect us. I started studying the cutting edge technologies as AI, but always realizing that those tools, those academic fields were going to be helping me towards a greater goal. I wasn't looking just for the technology. I was actually, without knowing it, I was looking for how we can implement these tools towards humans in a very humanistic way. That's when I found out that my main calling was psychology, understanding how our minds worked and how we could put together all these different fields. So right now I'm working in this psychological world, but combining technology and especially virtual reality, these 3D models, this creativity I'm putting together all these fields, and as I said, I'm putting technology and creativity in service to psychology, basically. Here in Madrid, I created the group Consciousness Hacking Madrid. Consciousness Hacking is a global community that started in Silicon Valley and has different hubs all around the world. And the main goal of consciousness hacking is actually this one, is how we can put technology to the service of human flourishing, of human psychology, and how can we put together AI and virtual reality and maybe different fields of technology to the service of our own inner development. I tend to think nowadays there's so many talks around the world telling that we have to change the world, to put ourselves in service to a greater cause, to change the world. And I think that the main source of change in the world is inside ourselves. When you change yourself, then all the world outside yourself, outside your own self, changes. And I know that quote that influenced me very deeply when I was young, about Rumi. By Rumi, he said that yesterday I was clever and I wanted to change the world, but now I am wise, so I want to change myself. So how can we use technology towards that goal? So as I said, I created this consciousness hacking group, and after creating meetups there in the consciousness hacking Madrid community, I got in touch with different researchers, tech researchers, psychology researchers, and we are creating now the first project, which we call Empatica VR.
Empatica VR.
Empatica VR we're putting together the team, we are putting together the technology, the right researchers, again, from very different fields, and we want to create a project in which that lets you experience the world from another point of view, using storytelling in virtual reality. Basically, you're going to be a character that some experts in screenwriting and writers are going to develop, but those characters are going to be developed according to different psychological theories that explains different views or ways of perceiving reality. We humans perceive reality in a very limited fashion. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. Basically, our minds work by projecting our own past experience into the future. We don't see the future as it is. We see the future as anticipated memories based on our past experience, as Daniel Kahneman, the famous psychologist and Nobel laureate, has said. So basically, we want to create stories. Why stories? Because we are narrative beings. Our minds are also based and designed to be immersed by stories. We are always living in a narrative and stories. So that's why we are creating stories according to these personality systems. And we are implementing that in virtual reality, so you can get yourself inside of one of those characters and really understand, oh my God, I didn't know that my mom or my partner saw the world like this. Now I understand that person. Oh, great. And we are doing it using technology to really spread the message of this empathic future and a very hyper-connected future that we're going to live in. Just imagine if our children grew using technology like kind of a textbook to teach them, hey, look, this is you, and you perceive the world like this, and everything's okay with you. Just know that some other people see the world in a different way. It's okay, and we want to reduce conflict in that respect. Also, nowadays we see the world like wanting to go high up on the Maslow hierarchy of needs. We are seeing that in the Western world, all our needs and meets, are going
Mostly,
up.
yeah.
Mostly, not all of them, but in the Western world, people are looking for meaning, are looking for answers, are looking for just realizing that we are kind of a hyper-connected world, and I want to create a product that just fulfills not only these needs in the Western world, but actually raises all the different worlds, like not only the Western one, the Western one. So basically, that's it. That's what I'm working right now. This project called Empatica VR is a very interdisciplinary project. We are putting together different university departments from not only Spain, but also a university in Slovakia, AI department, psychology department, aesthetics department, and let's see what happens.
Wow, that's absolutely fascinating. Is there a part in your project that I would call like gaming? Do you include something like from video games?
Actually, tomorrow we are talking to a very important researcher here in Spain, and he is basically using AI to develop virtual gaming characters. I met him in a conference. I created here as well in Spain a group called Near Future Forum at the University of Madrid, and there we put together people that are working in different futuristic technologies, again from different fields. I think that right now we're living in an era where all of the different fields are merging. We are realizing that we're not that separate, but we are talking, like kind of intuiting the same things, but from our own perspectives, and the transcendent effects that we want to create, and we should create in this 21st century, in which we are facing a lot of very difficult challenges. The only way we can address those needs are going to be through projects that merge different fields. Well, in that forum, I met this guy, and yes, we want to AI this platform. We are using this model to to explain the different personality theories, but in the future, our main goal is to AI the platform, so we can create stories that adapt to yourself. We are kind of looking at biometric technologies that understand how your own physiology is reacting to the story you are immersed in. That's another field that's going to end up exploding in VR as well. It's called reactive content. It's content that is tailored to you, that adapts to your own physiology, your galvanic skin response, where your eyes are looking, how your heartbeat is reacting to what you're seeing. So I mean,
and you're looking to integrate that as well in your project.
Exactly, but it's going to be a project that has a lot of phases, and right now we are creating just the screen. The screen writing, you call it, like the main.
The main
stories, and after that we'll start AI in the platform. But we want to create this because we realize that, well, not we, but actually Harvard has come up with a study, the longest study on happiness that's ever done, and the single best predictor of happiness in a human being, it's basically the quality of your relationships, period. It's the quality of how you interact with the people that are around you. And we couldn't find a better way to improve the relationships that you have, not only with other people but with yourself, than to creating a tool that tries to explain how different people react, behave, perceive, feel, think about the world. And that's why we are creating this project. We want to massively spread empathy and to massively spread compassion around the world, which I think is the most needed quality in the future, especially in this AI machine learning future that we are going towards. I just, for example, read another article at the World Economic Forum in which the CEO of Microsoft actually said that in a world of empathy, in a world of machine learning and AI, the most important quality that we are going to need is this most human quality that we have, and it's just putting ourselves in the shoes of another person, and that's basically where we're working towards.
Wow, absolutely fascinating. I really more than love your ideas. Many times in my life, I say when people they ask me as a futurist about the singularity, about Kurzweil, I always say, yeah, I love it. It's a very interesting idea, and that's not enough. And especially when we talk about AI, it's like the only solution if we want to survive AI or with AI is that we don't only have the technological singularity, but we need a consciousness singularity. And listening to you, it's like you are working on the tool or one of the tool to help this consciousness singularity.
Yeah, actually, I was here in Madrid. There was the first International Longevity and Cryopreservation Summit. Right now in Silicon Valley and so many other parts of the world are talking about like going towards immortality, finding the way to just make our bodies live long enough to live forever, and that's why I've been very close to a professor called José Luis Cordeiro, who talks about this moment in which we'll be able to live forever. And I was invited to an event previous to this conference that took place in the CSIC, which is the scientific committee here in Madrid, Spain. And I was invited there to talk about the emotions, actually, the emotions of robots. Why? Because I told them we need a reason to want to live forever, basically. I mean, there's no... we're talking about life extension, okay, but what about life expansion? As Kurzweil says, we need to develop tools or just incentives or ways to really flourish as human beings, to really connect better to each other. I don't want to live forever if I don't have a feeling of connection with the rest of people, or just, I don't know, just...
Yeah, when I talk to to these people, I always say, I love the idea of living forever, but what's the point of living forever as an idiot? They don't like that much when I say that.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. What's the point of living forever as an idiot?
Exactly. Actually, you call it consciousness singularity. I call it empathilarity.
And I love it. I really love it.
I remember I told them, I mean, if you think about Big Bang theories and that point in which everything is created, and then that cone of, you've seen the graphs of just one single point, and then all the cone of the cosmos, the expansion of the cosmos is developed. I tend to imagine every single human as a psychological Big Bang, basically. When you appear in this world, when your consciousness starts, you start creating kind of a ramification, something that only yourself sees like that, basically. If we say that, again, if we don't see the future as it is, but as our anticipated memories, it means that your perception is always creating that piece of reality. I tend to think and imagine ourselves as all living in a very limited cone, and we are just clashing our cones with each other and with our perceptions. And I want to create something that just merges all of that. We're talking about the moment in which all humans are going to merge, and I think that until we develop hardware tools, as Elon Musk is doing, or other startup companies are trying to do, which is connect our brains basically with software. I don't know if we'll reach that moment sooner or later. I think it will end up coming, but until that point, we need another kind of technology. This is going to be software technology. This is going to be technology that doesn't get inside your brain yet, but makes you see the world from another point of view, not in a very difficult way, I think. And I think we need that transition until we reach those hardware points of merging together. Yeah, a lot of ideas.
And so tell me, what are the biggest challenges that you are facing today in your project?
The biggest challenge is making people aware of this reality, basically, of these ideas of, hey, did you know that you're seeing the world as a very limited perception, basically? Because we tend to see and go around the world thinking the way I am is the way everyone should be, and I see the world as it is. I see the world as, and we just go toward. I mean, it's really difficult to just stop and perceive and try and think, why is this happening? Why this conflict happening? Is it because maybe I am responsible for this? Is it because the other person is a bad person? No, we tend to judge people. It's because we live in a very reptilian phase and state. We just want to consider the rest of the people bad and ourselves good. We don't want to deal with that cognitive dissonance of, maybe there's something that I should change about myself. Maybe that other person is seeing reality in a way that is valid as well, but it's just complementary to my own way of seeing the world. So the main difficulty about the project is talking to investors and talking to and seeing a very profitable outcome right now. We are in the very early stage of the project. We are just looking for investment, but we are being quite selective right now to the people we tell the project about, because not all the investors are into this higher consciousness state to really see the transcendent goal of this project. And this is a very important one, but of course it's very high in the Maslow hierarchy of needs. But I don't care, it's going to happen, and I see it happening right away, and we, all the team, all the researchers, are really excited to start working in this field.
And what are the next steps? from where you are now?
The next steps would be just AI and the project. We want to create a platform that includes every person that just puts on a Google Class or not Google Class actually, but a Google Cardboard because we're using virtual reality right now. And the goal of this project is that we can make the system fit itself with AI technologies. But that's another step that would take quite a lot of time.
And how do you, in your personal life, are working on this new empathic civilization? What do you do for yourself besides your project? How do you work on that, if you do?
You mean in
I don't know, what do you do in your life that you think is helping you to be more empathic or to make your consciousness evolve, or I don't know how to call that?
Well, the truth is that I belong to I have a personality trait that is called HSP. It's highly sensitive person. They call it. There's a researcher in the States called Adamson, I think is her name, that discovered that there's a percentage of people that feel the world extremely empathic. We have kind of a brain condition. It's not a condition actually. It's just a feature that we have, that we tend to automatically feel what the person outside of ourselves is feeling. And I had it since I was a very young person. I was just overwhelmed by the feeling of the people I had in front of me, to the point that I couldn't separate my own feelings to the feelings of the person in front of me. I just automatically felt what the other person was feeling. That was kind of a good point, but also was a curse in myself, because I suffered a lot. When I saw someone feeling something, when I immediately felt it myself, and I obviously suffered because it was just my own feelings, and basically it's just something that comes automatically to me. Again, it's a very nice thing, but at the same time it's something that it's tough sometimes.
And how do you handle the tough part?
It's just learning to realize that I cannot help everyone as much as I would want to. Basically, it's learning to just start to differentiate a bit between the self and the other, and that's it. That's all the thing I can do there. They tend to say that we follow an acronym that is called DOES, DOES. The first one is the depth of processing. We tend to process reality with, much higher than the mean. But the O is that we tend to be overwhelmed by it. As we process so much information, and then we get overstimulated. Basically, we don't like places with so much noise, with so much sound, because our brains are just, okay, I need more silence. And the E is the empathic quality. We just naturally empathic with the people that we have around. And the S is that sensitivity part, that feelings just, affect us extremely. This project is kind of a personal calling that I have. Is mixing who I am as a person, what I see as the most important quality that needs to be spread in the world, and where the future is heading us towards this merger of consciousness, in which we to see humanity not as something separated from ourselves, but we see ourselves as part of the same kind of family. We are all living in a pale blue dot, as Carl Sagan said, that is just in a very tiny place in the universe. And come on, if you see yourself from this outsider perspective, there's no separation between self and other. Carl Sagan used to say, that if you disagree with a human, just be patient and love that human, because you won't find another in a million galaxies. So if you see yourself as, okay, what are we doing here? Aren't we part of the same thing? I don't know, it's just something that's bound to happen sooner or later, and I think that working towards that consciousness, singularity, empathy, whatever we want to call it, I think that thing should be tackled, and we have the tools to do it right now. It's just putting the right people together, putting the right technology together, putting the right amount of money together, and just going towards that problem. I think all the problems in the world can be solved, and it's just our own determination and passion. Actually, just tapping into who you are as a person, tapping into that inner calling that you have, just going towards it.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing that. My passion is to help people to be more future fit. What would be your advice for people your age, for a younger person, or for an older person, whatever? What would be your personal advice? Like, okay, if you want to be more future fit, more future ready, more future proof, this is the 3 things you should do.
Wow, what a question. First of all, I would encourage people to read a lot. I don't think there's, I don't know, just knowledge is so vast. We, as humanity, have built up so much knowledge over the centuries that it's so enriching to realize that there's so much that we don't know, and especially it's incredible to realize that there's so many things that we don't know that we don't know.
Yes.
So I would encourage people just to go towards the future section of a library and just start reading. Actually, just they would find out just incredible things out there. So just be curious and passionate, and be willing to question your most inner beliefs and core beliefs about what the world is like, because when you start just getting yourself into knowledge, you enrich yourself, and enriching yourself is the best way I can find to just enriching the people around you. So just put aside some time to every day read something that maybe you can recommend those people to read, and I think that's a very important thing to do. Just question your most inner beliefs and put yourself out there to be enriched by knowledge. Well, that's one, being curious and about knowledge. The second one is just experience. Just get out there and just talk to people. There's every person out there can teach you something that you don't know, basically. So just put yourself out there, talk to people, go to meetups, go to conferences, and just get out there and be open. That's it. I would say that.
Excellent. One more?
One more? Okay, you said 3.
You don't have to make it 3,
No,
but I'm just trying to push you.
Okay, I think it's enough.
Excellent. And regarding the first one, like reading, not only reading, but being open to the knowledge, are there any like 1 book or 3 books you would recommend that changed your life or could change somebody's life?
Well,
I know there are many, but if you have to pick 1, 2, or 3.
Well, one that really changed my perception of reality was The Singularity is Near by Ray Kurzweil. I think he is into really something very powerful. It's a bit scary book for some people, but I don't know. I see that coming. The other one is Abundance by Peter Diamandis. We are basically going toward
Only singularity people so far.
But that's what I call the hardware thing. That's the software thing that's basically what we're talking about in this conversation. That okay, but what for all this abundance? Where we're going? The third one would be maybe whatever book by Kenny Wilber would work. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely fascinating. You started the conversation, your introduction, saying like you see yourself as a seeker.
Yeah.
I'm meeting many people. That's my passion, and like I said, to go out there and meet people. And you are definitely one of the most amazing seeker, and I would say one of the most amazing human being I met. So
thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.